Welcome to the Humboldt X YouTube channel. I'm Doc, and this time I'm out at the site of the USS Milwaukee. Ran aground in 1917 during World War I, and if you come out here during a negative 2-foot tide, you can still see pieces of it. So stay tuned, hang with me. Let's get to it. So I'm headed out to Samoa this morning. Go check out the wreck of the USS Milwaukee. It ran aground out there in 1917 trying to rescue the H3 submarine, but if you catch it during really low tide, like a negative 2 foot, you can still see part of the shipwreckage out there. It's been a few years, so I'm curious to see what it looks like. So that's where I'm headed, and I really appreciate everybody watching. Please be sure you subscribe down below. I'll see you out there. Get a look of Woodley over there. Such a beautiful morning. Calm too, you know. Looks like it's we got some offshore fog. See what it looks like when we get out there. Pulling up to it. There's the stack out there. Sweet. Well, I'm gonna park and we'll take a walk and check it out, man. Coming up to the memorial here. Yep. January 1917. Here's the sub. Wow. Well, and the story actually started, it's happened during World War I. We were worried about the German U-boats that were going up and down the west coast here, so we had a submarine fleet, the US Navy, and so the H3, the submarine, was patrolling along the coast here, and it thought it was heading into the bay, and actually it wasn't. I think the story goes it was kind of looking at the stacks here and ran right on aground and beached itself, and then the locals were coming by. They thought it was a beached whale, but it wasn't. So about a month later, the US Navy sent out 3 ships to try to get it out. The USS Iroquois, the USS Cheyenne, and the fairly newly minted USS Milwaukee. And their plan was to anchor the USS Milwaukee. It's like 425 or 26 feet long, and they attached cables to it, and they were going to try to pull the sub back out of the sand and create a vacuum and snap the cables. And the USS Milwaukee wound up running ashore, busted the hull and engine compartment filled with water and all the rest of it. And so the Humboldt Bay Lifesaving Station over here, the Coast Guard, came out and they did a rescue, and they rescued all the sailors off of there. And apparently the sub, when it ran aground, the seamen there were stuck in the sub for 10 hours. But man, look at that. You can still see parts of the USS Milwaukee. Look at that. I'll go up and see how close I can get, but they couldn't get it out. So they, the locals here were offered to get the submarine out, you know, and roll it over the peninsula here. Humboldt Bay's right behind us. And they did. They saved the H3 submarine. They rolled it across the bay, dumped it into, the peninsula. They dumped it into Humboldt Bay, and it went back down to San Pedro and kept patrolling the west coast up until 1922, and the H3 submarine was decommissioned somewhere around 1931, I want to say. But the USS Milwaukee didn't make it. So they built a big pier out here to salvage, take all the guns, the armory, all the rest of it. There was a big old pier that was built out along this thing up to the USS Milwaukee, and salvage as much as they could. But here's where it rests. I don't know how far out I'm going to get. I wish I would have bought my waders, to be honest, but you can still see pieces of the USS Milwaukee today. Look at that. Wow. I think the tide's actually coming in. It's a piece of it over there. Look at that. I don't want to get wet feet. Man. Another piece of it over there. Maybe I can get a little closer to that. Water's coming in. But Humboldt has quite the military history here. Not just World War I, and early during World War I, the Great White Fleet came down the west coast, and there's a picture of it from Trinidad where you could see the Great White Fleet coming through during World War I. And this all happened during World War I as well. I'm going to see if I can get up to that piece. Look at that. But we've got Samoa bunkers during World War II. There's artillery bunkers right up the way here, right on the North Jetty. Well, oh wow, look at that. You can still see quite a bit of it there. Look at that. Isn't that? I'm fascinated by it. But the military took over the Table Bluff Light Station and the Punta Gorda Lighthouse and all that, just to patrol during World War II. And so Humboldt's got quite a military history here, and this right here is probably one of the more I don't know, famous ones. Look at that, man. Wow. Touch a piece of history. I'm fascinated by it. Look at that. It's a piece of the Milwaukee right there, and there's a couple other pieces right up in there. Wow. Of course, Mother Nature's taking it back over, but it was one of the most expensive, or it was the most expensive shipwrecks. US Milwaukee, at least at the time, you know, back then. And the boat was 426 feet long. Wow. Well, that's cool, man. That's fascinating. I'm gonna get wet. Hello. Wow, that's cool. Come get one last touch before I get wet. Yo. Wow, man. Well, that's really cool. No matter where you go in Humboldt, you know, there's history everywhere. We have rich native history, and they've been here long, long before settlers ever arrived in 1850, and military soon took over, and trolling up and down Humboldt Bay, and the USS Milwaukee is another piece of pretty significant military history, pardon me, in Humboldt. So, well, that's really cool, man. Tide comes up on you quick. Just gonna walk it one last time, and that's pretty cool, man. I had to take advantage of the opportunity and get out here. It's early in the morning, but it's beautiful. It's always beautiful in Humboldt, but wow. Nope, tide's coming in. Comes in quick. Wow. What about it, huh? Wow. Well, the tide's coming in. You got to get out here quick, you know. Well, what another significant piece of Humboldt history, and no matter where you go in Humboldt, we've got a lot of it, and the USS Milwaukee is no exception. So, well, thank you so much for watching. You know, my family and I, we greatly appreciate it, and thank you so much to everybody that subscribed to this channel. You know, we appreciate the support, and we really appreciate it. So, from my family to yours, celebrate others, respect yourself, because love is powerful, man. We'll see you on the next one.